What's up, guys? Welcome to the Linecheck podcast. It's me, your host, Brennan. Once again, I am here. And today I'm in the studio with Chef Raco. How's it going?
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's doing real well today.
Yeah.
Besides this heat.
It is a hot weekend.
Yeah, it's very hot. Make sure you guys are drinking lots of water.
Yes.
And stay
Electrolytes.
Yeah, electrolytes. Let's see how much I sweat on this episode.
I know. I'm glad I'm wearing black.
Just in case I get in the hot
You
seat
can't
for
see
some
my pit
reason.
stains.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really sweat that much besides, I don't know.
That's
Sometimes I
good.
get like the nose, definitely.
I know. What about my little mustache?
No, you're good.
Little
You're
sweat
you're
stash?
okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, it's really good to have you in the studio. Thank you for coming out
yes,
here.
thanks-
And
thanks
I reached
again.
out to you on the IG.
Yes. You slid
yeah.
into my DMs.
Yeah, slid into your DMs, like they like to say.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
So my name is Chef Raco. I have been a chef for about 8 years. I have worked in Brisbane, Australia, New Orleans, Louisiana, and now, of course, Los Angeles, where I'm from. Was a sous chef for many years in New Orleans, which was crazy. Learned how to tackle an insane brunch and really cut my teeth and got tough with that process. But really loved it. It was crazy living in New Orleans. But then the pandemic hit and I moved back to LA, moved back to my parents, and have transitioned from that point. Decided no longer restaurants and focusing more on catering, private chefing, and social media.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, why did you decide to, when you came back, to do that instead of going back to another restaurant? What was the decision in that?
Well, actually, because it was the pandemic,
Yeah.
our industry
Yeah,
was really
coats.
massively hit. At the time, I actually decided no more being a chef. I was pretty bitter and upset with how our industry was so impacted
Yes.
that I decided to go back to school and got admitted into engineering school and was studying engineering, civil engineering specifically, and did catering as kind of a flexible thing to work around my studies. So I had some great opportunities while I was catering and realized, you know what? And the engineering is really not it. As much as like I want that kind of job security, and that's kind of the reason why I chose engineering. I thought it was something that was secure. It won't be shut down during a pandemic, right? I just love cooking so much and kind of fell back in love with it when I got to some really great catering clients and whatnot. So that's kind of where
That's awesome.
how I transitioned.
Definitely during COVID, a lot of cooks and chefs were rethinking their life. Like, whoa, like, what am I going to do? Someone like, I'm going to go back to design school, or I'm going to, do whatever I was doing before I started cooking.
Truly.
And it was a weird time in, our life.
It feels like a black hole. Like it didn't happen, but at the same time, obviously it's changed the course of history and how things are now. But when you think about it, it's like how crazy of an experience that was.
Yeah.
For 2 years, especially in California, where it
2
was
years.
really affecting us here.
Yeah. Even like still almost,
A little bit. Yeah.
Closing restaurants or just like staff being out due to have COVID already still, being short staffed all the time. Yeah, it's crazy. Or even restaurants closing that have been affected from COVID and now just closing still because of, just haven't been able to jump back in it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so many places had to shut down.
Like OTM in LA, they just closed. Their
They just
last day was in August. Yeah.
So sad.
Yeah.
It was right next to the Broad, which is very busy.
Yeah.
You would
Shout
think.
out to Sam, bar director there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's a friend.
Sam.
Yeah. But yeah, it's unfortunate, it's sad, and it makes it scary to want to open a restaurant.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. So that's where
especially
the
here in
hesitation is.
California, just really hard to open a restaurant.
Although there's, now that they allow street vendors everywhere, there is opportunity for the small chef to make the small investments of having a spot on the sidewalk where you can try out some restaurant food that you've like always wanted to put out, and hopefully it catches and get some buzz, and that's kind of interesting social thing going on that I've seen.
Yeah, and also it was like a pop-up renaissance.
Yeah.
All the cooks that never really had an outlet, were just cooking at a restaurant, were like, hey, like, I've always wanted to make
Like-
pizza. Now I'm gonna try and make pizza
Roy
and be
Choi
a
was
pop-up.
doing it.
Yeah,
right?
Roy Choi, yeah.
He did like a taco.
Yeah, taco recently.
right?
Yeah.
Like regular
just a
tacos,
street
not
taco.
his like
Yeah, just
Korean.
just regular street
Yeah.
tacos. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, but yeah, it's definitely cool. Everyone has an outlet now. Everyone's down to like. There's definitely everyone's curious. Just a regular patron, not just like a cook, but everyone's just curious. It's fun. It's exciting to not go to a restaurant, just try something on the street, try a pop up at a cafe. It's definitely a fun time for food right now.
It is.
Yeah, because there's so many different experimental stuff going on with just like regular people.
What's been something
cooks.
fun that you've been enjoying?
Well, I cook Filipino food because I'm half Filipino, but it's not really Filipino food. It's influenced by California and the local ingredients here. And
Did you grow up here?
I did grow up here.
Okay.
It was actually my Lola's birthday yesterday, turned 89.
Happy birthday,
but she
Grandma.
inspired me to kind of cook our heritage food. Just kind of growing up with her ever since I was little, and she just would always make me Filipino food.
Yeah.
And
How's your lumpia?
it's good.
Yeah?
I make good lumpia.
Awesome.
But yeah, like I just grew up with her a lot, and she always cooked for me. And a lot of my family is very Americanized, so I didn't really have a sensibility of my Filipino heritage until I was like, I got a little curious. I'm like, I want to learn more about it, and she kind of like would teach me things or teach me words and all that. And then I decided to work at a Filipino restaurant and then just learn more about that.
Oh, cool.
So, it's been fun. I learned a lot, and, I know more about the food and the flavors. And I think my palate's like leans more on like how to make something taste. It's weird. Like Filipino, it's very acidic, very salty, sweet. So I like lean in on those flavors a lot.
And have you been to the Philippines before?
I have. I was
cool.
stuck in the Philippines actually for COVID.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, there's worse places, I guess.
And before that, I've been to the Philippines before, but I got stuck there in literally March 2020.
Oh my gosh.
I was at a bar, and then they announced lockdown.
They locked you into the bar?
Yeah, they pretty much locked me in the bar, and I was like, oh wait, I'm only supposed to be here for 3 weeks. What do I do?
God.
And then I went to my Airbnb, and then like, you can't leave the island. No one can come onto the island. And I was like, oh
my
shit.
God.
Passport expired like in a couple months, and I was still stuck there.
Oh my goodness.
And I just lived off the land. Obviously I got my stimulus and ate a lot, surfed a lot, learned a lot about my culture, hung out with the local fishermen, cooked a lot of food. And I was stuck there for 8 months.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I came back.
That sounds great.
It was great. Coming back home was a little scary because I got like on a stranded tourist flight. I was like on a waiting list to get off the island.
Gosh.
And so I finally made the list. I went to Manila, which is like the metro area of capital of the Philippines. And it's just a very dirty third world country. It's very sad. Huh. And I was stuck there for a week, and I needed like a vaccine to get on my first flight to get to LA.
Oh my God.
With a layer to Korea, and I couldn't get a vaccine because that was like didn't exist anymore, or like a test. Actually, sorry, not a vaccine.
Okay.
Test. I had to get a test, and I'm like, how the hell do I get a PCR test? And I'm like, I don't know where to get it. And I had like all my bags on me. It's like 100 degrees outside. Just like walking around the city with like sandals on.
Oh my God.
And then I finally like, okay, well I can't. Oh, this actually happened. I got on my flight to go to Korea, and then they told me I can't board the plane because I didn't get a test before I got onto the plane, and I couldn't enter Korea. So then I just canceled it, and then got another flight to just go directly to LA. And then I finally got to LA on an 18-hour flight, and then I went to Palm Springs and quarantined for a week, and it was like 109 or 110 degrees over there, and my face shield melted in the car. It was really funny. Yeah. But yeah, it's weird. I didn't get to experience, LA COVID when it happened.
It was a wild time.
I was just watching it through social media while I was stuck on an island.
Yeah. But I mean, because the borders were closed on the island, were things open? So you
In
kind
the
of had to.
beginning, it was kind of scary because they had police telling everyone to stay inside
Oh
and you
my
can't leave only for
goodness.
imported stuff like groceries.
Yeah.
And then once they realized like no one has COVID on the island, and no one can get on or off,
Mm-hmm.
that they like laxed a little bit. And then there's only like curfews, but we still partied. And we'd like hide before the police would come.
Yeah.
Just to be like, oh, cops are coming. And then everyone like go hide in their room.
Oh my
And then the cops
God.
leave. And then everyone come back out
Oh
and
my
party.
goodness.
Yeah.
That's
But yeah, it
fun.
was fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy times.
I enjoyed my
Crazy
COVID
times.
experience. I was living at my parents'. I grew up in the Pasadena area, and so very hot. But I was very fortunate to not have to worry too much about the like overhead of life because
Yeah.
I was living at my parents', right? So not working at the time, I don't know what I would have done without them.
Definitely.
Thank God. I'm very thankful for that. Very, very fortunate. But it was hard to find jobs. It was hard. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't find a job. It was the weirdest thing until maybe I was doing some like under the table catering for some people and private chefing. But it really wasn't until like the end of the year that I really started picking back up because it was just hard. Like people want to live their life though. People want to,
exactly.
people want to
They wanna
have fun.
continue,
They want to
yeah.
be social. Like we're very social creatures. We want to have a good time. And there's only so much monotony you can handle until you start to drive yourself crazy.
Yep.
And that's why we, had to get back to some normalcy eventually. And thank God we did.
Yeah, and definitely like during that stage, it affected a lot of people mentally, and just like very scary times. You don't really know what you're gonna do. And going into that, on your Instagram, you post Monday
Mental Health
Monday.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, mental health is I want to say passion. Obviously, that's not mental health, but it is something that I'm passionate about.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I myself have dealt with a lot of severe mental health stuff in the past and have overcome some, depression, anxiety, whatnot. And I see it so commonly in our industry.
Yeah.
And I see it from the people you least expect it, who they come in with a smile and then you know that there's pain behind those eyes, and it's just something that really needs to be talked about more in our industry. And it's starting to, it really has.
It is.
I myself am not any sort of therapist. I have no licensing to give, true medical advice, but I have experience within our industry as a chef, seeing everything from alcohol and drug abuse to depression to suicidal, thoughts, all far and few between. Like all of everything in our industry is very sugar coated. And it's actually not sugar coated. I should say that everything in our industry is very like pushed under the rug. And there's a mentality of like, if you can't deal with it, if you can't handle it, get out of the kitchen, and everyone has their own problems. This is a tough industry. There's a lot demanded of us physically and mentally. And I think people need to know that it's okay to have the feelings that you do because it is widely felt. Everyone's experience is unique, but also a shared experience at the same time. And I just wanted to continue, a conversation on my page. I have I've only grown this year, and I really love a sense of community on my page. That's a big element for me, is to just connect with chefs around the world. They're my people to my core. I just love chefs, back of house people, even front of house people, bartenders, like
everybody,
all of the restaurant folk. Like they are good people. They're amazing people. And it's a thankless job, like truly thankless job, especially in the back. And that you don't realize how amazing and incredible people are in this industry. And so in order to, to give back in a way, I want to have this conversation of mental health and to always be there for people who need help, and to and to also know that I also go through these things. Even recently, like I've been going through some bouts of mental health stuff, and that's okay. Like it's totally a normal part of being a human. It's and it's not a taboo thing, and you know, you're not alone.
Yeah.
Really is what I really want to address. Is just that the mental health is just, you're not alone in this situation. Yeah.
That's awesome. I think it definitely helps coming from chefs, you know, that want to talk about this subject, because if it's like a therapist, you know, it's like, you don't really get me, you know, you don't work in the industry.
Yeah.
So I think if chefs are talking about it more, it makes it be like, okay, well, this chef that I respect is talking about this stuff. Like, it's okay. You know what I mean? It makes it feel better to, like, it's not okay to be, it's okay to feel bad. You know, it just, especially if you have, you know, your peers that are starting to pave the way for this, it definitely helps ease it more. You know, I've been there before, obviously, lots of times in my life, even before I was cooking. And it's just something hard to talk about, you know?
It really is. It's hard to be vulnerable.
Yes, it's hard to be vulnerable.
That's what it is. You don't want to come off as like weak or overly sensitive, you know, but you're not. In fact, I find being able to be vulnerable is one of the strongest things someone can do.
And it takes time to learn that.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to learn that.
Absolutely.
I mean, working in kitchens, I just always want to be there every single day, take no vacations, because I want to I want to like learn everything. I want to get ahead of the guy in front of me. I want to be the sous chef. I want to be the lead line cook. And you don't give yourself any breaks. You just get sucked into it.
Yeah.
And to feel like when you finally like get that breaking point where you're just like scared and you don't know what's wrong, it's hard to want to say something to your chef or to whoever the higher person is that you're like not okay, because it's like, oh, if I, you know, say I'm not doing okay, then this person's gonna take advantage of it, or you know, jump me.
You almost
like,
dig
for
yourself
my spot,
into a
you know
hole.
What I mean? Yeah.
Where you're stuck.
It's like, oh, this guy's not good enough to be on the line. All right.
Oh,
yeah.
true. Yeah.
It was scary back then. I think right now it's you know, we're definitely leaning more towards mental health awareness, which is nice. I like that a lot. And, you know, with the new people coming to the kitchen, hopefully they go into a kitchen where it's a lot more welcome. And, you know, I haven't been working in different kitchens that much, so I don't know how all kitchens are different, you know, depending on who the owner and the chef is.
And that makes a big, there's a stark difference when you have a terrible, awful leader in the kitchen versus someone who really supports and lifts you up. I mean, obviously that goes with anyone in the world, right?
Yeah, definitely.
When I was living and working in Australia, that's where I went to culinary school, actually. Cool. I was working in a couple of different restaurants out there. I was in Brisbane. And one of my first restaurants, I was at Jamie's Italian, which is a Jamie Oliver restaurant.
Okay, that's actually...
Yeah. And I worked the fry station. It was after my apprenticeship. It was my first real job. And everyone that was working there was on a working visa. Everyone, for the most part, was European or South American, and a few Southeast Asian. And so we were all not Australian. And it was really interesting to see the different work ethics among all of us. But the big thing was in Australia was balance, like taking time off.
Oh yeah, I've met some Australians. They get awesome time off. And
they get paid double time on weekends, regardless. And on holiday weekends, triple time, triple pay.
Wow.
Can you
don't they also get like 3 months off?
They're okay with. I mean, it's unpaid. But yeah, they're like, oh, you want to take 3 months off? Sure, no worries, mate.
Yeah, you know? I met someone in Portugal and it's like, oh, I'm on my 3 months leave.
Oh, I like your Australian accent.
Been practicing, just kidding.
I was
like, what? And then I told him how my vacation works. He's like, wow, that's insane, mate.
Yeah.
That shit sucks.
No.
Yeah. He's like, wow, how do you live your life? I was like, dude, this is like my once vacation a year for 2 weeks. He's like, that's all you get? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately in America, we are very much behind on that.
We are.
I don't know that's a tricky thing too, because also our industry, I think because of COVID, especially keeping people hired and keep like the turnover rate's so high, and trying to find someone even just skilled enough to be in the kitchen is really hard because so many people have walked away.
It's very hard to find skilled cooks right now.
It's really hard. And when you find someone that is amazing, you should hold on to them as best you can. But at the same time, don't overwork them because they need to have a life as well. You know,
exactly. Because we know, like having all that time off during COVID, we found out I have another hobby. It's running.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like there definitely needs a more balance of life. And I think we are definitely leaning into that and just like not working 6 days a week, 7 days a week, 14-hour shifts.
Yeah. On your, I mean, it's already tough conditions inside of a kitchen, right? You have the heat.
Like I'm not working in a kitchen right now. Imagine working in a kitchen right now.
Imagine if your air conditioner's broken too. Oh my
That's
God.
not safe at all.
No,
and there's some places that'll make you work in it.
You would need to make sure, like, I hope the chefs that are working in the kitchen, that are the managers right now in LA or anywhere that's really hot, are going around and making sure their line is hydrated, making sure that there is breaks, you know, they can go into the walk-in and just get some relief, because that you'll pass out if you're locking your knees out too, because you're under stress. You're just going to faint, and you're going to smack your head on the grill, and you're going to have grill marks on your face, and you're not going to be happy. And then you get back to your shift in like 5 after you bandage it up. You're not even going to the ER.
Yeah, exactly.
It's tough. So, you know, I that's a big part also with like the whole mental health thing, is just like the balance of it all, making sure that you're not being worked so hard, and making sure you have the voice for yourself to let your managers, or if you're in charge, understand that who you are in charge of to need balance. And like, people need to prioritize fun outside of work and healthy fun. I know we all like to have a drink and we all like to party. It's very synonymous with our industry. But I feel that there's more to be had beyond just having a drink after. It's fun. I get it. It's really fun having a drink after you're getting railed on the line, right? Like, you guys are like sitting at a bar afterwards, like, holy shit, we went through 500 covers tonight.
Modelo pop. You're like, wow, that's amazing.
What is it, a Boilermaker, when you have a whiskey and a beer, like a PBR and like a shot of whiskey? Those are great. But then, you know, if you're doing that every single night,
and then adding more
you're not,
of that after.
You're it's no longer fun, and it's no longer gonna be as stress relieving. It's just gonna become habitual, and then you need to then you feel like shit the next day often too, if you're doing it a lot. So
it's hard to know when to stop. I mean, can
we curse? I'm sorry.
Yes, we can curse. When I was cooking a lot when I was younger, you know, 27 to 27, you know, I'm young. I can hang, you know, I can drink every night.
Oh my God.
I can go out with all my coworkers every night, wake up at 1 p.m. and then go straight to work at 3 p.m. and then do it all over again. You know, I'll be fine. I'm young.
And you could do it. You really legit could.
Yeah, like, you could do it.
Same with me. Yeah.
But the time goes really fast. I mean, time goes fast, as you know. And, you know, I'm 33 right now. And I just wish in that time period of my life that I was doing something more productive than going out all the time. It's fun. I'm not saying it wasn't fun, but, you know, waking up and then just going straight to work, it turned into a vicious cycle, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, for young cooks out there, I just hope they can just like find, you know, something that you can just like do that'll be more productive. Go outside. Definitely go outside, you know.
Touch some grass.
Yeah, touch some grass.
Less doom scrolling.
Yeah, you know, like I'm just saying, like, time goes fast. Take advantage of the time you have when you're young.
Truly.
That's all I'm trying to say.
I'm 34.
Yeah.
I wish I was 24 sometimes, and like
I do too. I was like, oh wow, you're 27. I'm like, dang.
But I also look back and like, I was a big party girl back in the day. I really was. I would go to rock shows, raves. I wouldn't sleep all night and go back to work the next day. Crazy stuff. And living in New Orleans, you had access to it.
Yeah.
When I was out there for 2 years.
Right out the door of where you worked.
Yeah, truly. And you can go, there was a bar every corner. There was a bar underneath my apartment complex. You know, it was just accessible.
Yeah.
So, and it was 24 hours. You could go to a drive-through daiquiri even on the way home from work.
Yeah, I've seen those before. Yeah.
So it catches up to you though, you know, as you get older, you start to realize, you know, the fun starts to dissipate. But I also look back on and like, you know, I did have a lot of great memories.
A lot of good Christmas parties.
A lot of shared moments with ridiculous people of all walks of life that you wouldn't necessarily ever think you'd be with, you know, some crazy fun things. And, part of it is also just maturing and getting older. And you're like, I kind of am getting, I can't keep up with the young kids anymore. And, you know, what do they say? The beauty is wasted on the youth. Same with energy. Yeah. The energy that you you have like almost like the naivete, you know, of being young. It's wasted, you know, but sometimes people have to go through those experiences to get to where they need to be. That is their path. And that was my path. Absolutely. You know,
what would you say to somebody that, you know, is a line cook and, you know, not a chef, and they're, you know, getting up there in age, maybe like, you know, around the same age as we are, but older, and kind of like feeling stuck in their life and, you know, not really sure if they still want to cook, or they, you know, they're never just going to be like a chef, and, you know, don't have aspirations for owning a restaurant. You know, like, what would you say to someone like that that's just feeling stuck in their complacency of just being a line cook and being older, and, you know, the ever like, you know, we don't get health insurance, you know, depending on where you work at. And it's just not like, it doesn't set you up to, you know, retirement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, I
hope everyone is starting a Roth IRA.
Yeah. If you don't know what that is, it's an
investment for your retirement, basically. But that's something I started when I was 30 years old. But, you know, it doesn't matter. It helped. Started yesterday was the best day to start it, you know. But that's a great question. So when people feel stuck and they're getting older, I think they have to think to themselves, what is it that makes them excited to get back to work? Are they excited, or are they just happy to be showing up, clocking in, getting work done, not having to think about it, and leaving? Because, and if they're uncomfortable with that and they want more, then perhaps the solution would be think about going on your own as an entrepreneur, creating your own catering business. But there is a lot of hustle and grind to it. If you are not willing to put in that kind of work, then it's not going to be for you. If you're feeling stuck, but you are also very much happy with clocking in and clocking out and not having to think about work in your off hours, then I'm sorry, there's not really much beyond working in and under someone, as under a management. You know, you are going to be in that role forever if you do not feel like you want to be in charge or working long hours, or you know, wanting to do the hustle, so to say. I hope that answers your question. It's that's a tough question to answer, really.
Like, it just goes back to what you were saying when, you know, you clock into work and you see your coworkers and they have a smile on their face, but they don't, you know, they're not okay. And
we're talking about like the mental health. Okay, sorry.
Oh, no.
Okay.
But that's kind of like what I was going back to, is like, I was just thinking about that. Like, you go to work and, you know, you have your coworkers and, you know, they clock in every day and, you know, they look happy, but you know, they're not okay. And I think, you know, as that example of, you know, being older and being a line cook with no aspirations to be like a chef or own a restaurant, it's like, where do you find yourself going? And I think it's a tough question because, like I said, restaurants don't really set you up to have a life after cooking. Unless you don't, and like, if you do have a Roth IRA, then, you know, but if you don't, it's scary.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make,
I think a lot of us struggle with that. We have a unique set of skills that doesn't go beyond, it goes beyond cooking. You just kind of have to see what it is that, like, the skill that you have that can be applied elsewhere. But if I were to see someone who I think is struggling, if they don't come to you, the best you can do is just show your support and, ask them if they're doing okay. How's their day? What have they been up to outside of work? And have a nice person to person conversation and not like manager to line cook conversation.
Like letting them be seen as a person.
You can't pry at the same time.
Yeah.
So when you see someone that is clearly struggling, you can try to have a chat, but it really has to come down to that person at the same time as well. And you can be there as a support and, hey, I'm here to talk if you ever want.
At the end of the day, it's up to them.
It's
so
tricky.
hard. Yeah.
You want so badly. It's like when you see someone who has severe alcohol problems, who's out drinking a fifth of vodka every day, and you just be like, come on, I want to help you. You got this. But at the end, it really comes down to that person. At prevention and making sure people are taking, time off. If you see someone that is having a rough time, it could be that there's a financial situation and like them taking time off is not really an option. So it's really tricky.
It's tricky.
The best thing you can do is to be there as a support and, have a conversation if you can, if they're open to it, or have someone that maybe, that they're friends with in that job, in that business that can keep a check on them and maybe say, hey, John over there isn't looking so great. Can you go I don't know, make sure he's okay. I'm concerned, but I'm the boss. I can't be it's hard.
Yeah.
That's a hard,
exactly.
It's a really tricky thing. And we see it all the time. Of course there's always, you can have these group things of we're going to have a group meeting and talk about mental health. And, maybe we can have a meetup and do a hike or something like that and try to get people motivated, to do some sort of healthy activity outside of work. But again, we're in restaurants. It's when, when would that happen?
When would that be? On your day off, which you don't want to hang out really with your coworkers on your day off.
Yeah. So, I think the best thing is if you are struggling and you are having a hard time, try to identify what it is that's causing these problems. There's a lot of reasons. It could be that you're feeling lonely. It could be that you're in a financial situation. You could have a lot of hardships at home. Maybe you're in an abusive relationship, or you are having a hard time yourself. There's a chemical imbalance or whatnot going on. Trying to identify what it is that is a big, heavy weight in your life and have the strength to find help. And there are lots and lots and lots of resources online. And I know it's so cliche, but there really, really is. And
there is.
And there's always someone there that is willing to hear you out and figure out, what it is that's going on and how we can fix it. There are so many answers to mental health as well, from medication to therapy to exercise to quitting your job fully and changing it all. I know some people, I have a very close friend who has been working towards becoming a doctor, and how many years are dedicated for that. And she has made a big decision to make a big change in her career. She is still going to be in medicine, but it's a big change. And just knowing she is making that change has already helped her mental health. Her and I have talked almost every day as she's going through this transition. She was really struggling because, you work so hard to be in a position. And when you decide to make a change, you feel like you're failing.
Yeah. You're starting back at ground zero.
But the fact that you're able to put in that effort before and really give it a fair shot is commendable in itself. And so, she was able to, she reached out to me and we talked a lot, and she was able to make the changes small changes, but decisions to a different direction. And that alone I've already seen a big improvement in her mental health and how she's been navigating and just almost excited now for the changes and no longer feel this like failure, so to say, because it's not.
No,
it's just
not. Yeah.
You're taking a different path.
It's always scary when you make the jump into something new.
Yeah.
And, it's not easy. Like you're comfortable, clocking into your cooking shift and, you're not feeling it anymore and you want to change your path. Like you should I highly recommend you do that because you're going to be way happier. It's going to be a little bit harder in the beginning, but the rewards are going to be much better once you finally do it and put all your worth into it. Because if you're not happy what you're doing, then, you're just going to stay like that.
I do think a lot of people go into our world, into our industry for a lot of wrong reasons and get severely disappointed when they come into work.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot about culinary students.
Yes.
They have the wrong idea. I think, I went to culinary school a long time ago, and I think I went in Anaheim, so everyone kind of just went to work at Disneyland because that's what they wanted to do.
Pretty great training, though.
They all went to like work for Disney.
My mom was a candy maker there.
Oh, wow. Cool. Yeah, the chef at my culinary school, he was like the executive banquet chef for Disneyland and did like all the movie premieres and all that stuff. Cool. But yeah, it's like everybody was just wanting to work at Disneyland. So it was a little different, but every time when, I was a chef at a different restaurant, I'd hire someone from like Le Cordon Bleu or other culinary schools. They just got out. They always kind of get like, they think they're the best, but it's a very different environment when you walk into a kitchen compared to culinary school.
I get a question a lot online that is culinary school worth it? And I say it is worth it if you don't go into debt over it. There's
city colleges have great culinary programs. It's not expensive.
Yeah. If you're able to do it without going into crazy debt, you can pay it off. However, or if you get a scholarship or, you're lucky and your parents can pay for it. Yeah. But, I think it's silly to go into crazy debt for culinary school because of how not so great the pay is, especially when you start out. Yeah. You're going to have student loans for such a long time and you're going to be trying to get out of that hole for a while. You learn the most when you're in the kitchen. There's certain things that you don't learn, like, different kitchens have different cuisines, whereas culinary school kind of gives you a kind of a broad, introduction to everything. Primarily it's French, obviously, but what I'm getting back to, a lot of people going into culinary school for the wrong reason, though, is that I think a lot of people look at television and like Food Network or movies, where they really kind of glamorize the life of a chef. Yeah. And yes, it's very cool. Like, we're like little rock stars in the kitchen, at least we think we are. Yeah.
I was like, we're rock stars without the money.
Yes.
That's what I always say.
And you quickly learn how different life is in the kitchen, and I think that's what's actually really cool about our industry is that it's such a mystery, and those who are in it get it, and those who are on the outside have no fucking idea of what it's like to be a chef, a line cook, pastry, whatever it is that you do. So people who go into culinary school with thinking they're going to be the next Bobby Flay, you're not quite going in for the right reason. Yeah. There should be a
That's
bit
weird. I
more.
never thought about doing that when I started cooking. Yeah,
it's true.
It's interesting.
It's true. And I was a kid and I loved the Food Network as well, but I just truly, truly love cooking and I love making people happy through my food.
That's
and
exactly
that is what's really rewarding. And when and if that is what you really love to do and you love that feeling of enjoyment from people, like with their eyes wide eating your food and like they're silent at the table because they're just like, oh my God. Private chefing and catering where you get to be more interactive with your clients is great. When you're in a restaurant, you're not seeing that at all. All you're getting are the waiters telling you they liked it or they didn't like it or
didn't say anything at all.
Or nothing.
Where's the next dish?
Again, a very thankless job. So I think a lot of people go into this industry though for a lot of the wrong reasons. And again, there needs to be some conversation about that too.
Definitely. Yeah. Before we wrap up here real quick, I'm going to ask you a fun question.
Okay.
Tell me your favorite in the weeds story.
Favorite in the weed story. So this was when I was that's a great question. When I was, gosh, let me think about this. When I was a sous chef in New Orleans, we had a brunch. I was at a brunch restaurant. We would have 500 covers for brunch alone, and I would have to poach like 1,000 eggs before everyone came in at 5 in the morning. And as a sous chef, rather than being like a float, I was in charge of the line and tickets. And I remember having what are the ticket holders? You know, 2 things full.
Wow.
And with brunch, you have every kind of egg being ordered: poached easy, poached hard, over easy, sunny side up, scrambled, soft scrambled, hard scrambled, fucking deep fried. Who knows? Like you can get any crazy, egg order is there. And so I remember like the head chef was in her office and I just had to run over and I was like, I need to hop onto the line because I'm in the weeds just with the tickets. I think my poor line is just we don't even know what's going on. Right. So she walks in and I, run over and I am just, we're flipping eggs. We probably did like 200 eggs within the hour. We're just going crazy.
Yeah.
And then the fry guy on the left of me starts going off. He's pissed off. I don't really know what from. And he decides to take one of my egg pans and throw it to dish. The dish pit was like on the other side. There was like a hallway, like a walkway from my grill, and then dish was right there. He chucked it, almost hitting me and also my dish guy.
Shit.
I turned to him and I say, "Get the fuck out of my kitchen!" While we had all those tickets, my head chef was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" And I was like, "No, he's gone.
Yeah.
I will do fry now." And my head chef was just like, "Fuck, okay." And he said the guy left and I had to hop on to fry. And tickets were probably reaching over 30 minutes. People were pissed, I'm sure. It's brunch. I'm hoping that the servers gave them a bunch of champagne to distract. And that is probably the toughest. That was a crazy.
Yeah. Whenever someone walks off the line or leaves during, a really busy shift.
I mean, you don't throw pans.
No, never, ever.
Yeah.
I hate when cooks get really frustrated and they throw shit like a tantrum. It's like just let's put your head down. Let's go.
Let's go. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
There is no time to freak out when you are in the weeds.
Yeah.
Like you have to just get through it because you will get through it.
You will.
But man.
Yeah, I know. I feel
I still get dreams about that.
I have horror brunch stories too.
Oh yeah. What's yours? What's your in the weed story?
There was this one time where it was like my first brunch shift and there's 3 eggs Benedicts on the menu. And I was working poached eggs with my sous chef who was training me. And they didn't know how to poach eggs. And I didn't really know either because that was my first kitchen job kind of. And also my first time poaching eggs. Mm-hmm. And they just didn't really know how to poach an egg correctly. So it just made it more crazy for myself,
Sure.
And so just like popping eggs, breaking eggs, just ticket, keep coming, never stopping. The rail's getting longer.
Oh my God.
And then they're just getting frustrated, but like I'm feeling they're frustrated. And then they're like yelling at the other cooks because, they can't blame themselves. They blame other people.
Yeah, of course.
And I have more, but that's like a short story that's kind of similar to yours. Where you're just like, fuck, I'm trying to move fast, but moving fast ain't actually doing anything.
Oh my God. You feel like you're doing so much and then it just becomes a mess. Everything's messier.
Yeah.
It's like
eggs on the floor.
Yeah. Oh God.
That's how you know it was a battle.
Totally.
Well, it's good to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. I'm glad we got to talk to the audience about mental health. It's really important to me.
Yeah, it's Mental Health Monday, guys.
Yeah, check it out. Make sure you follow Chef Raco on Instagram and say hello. And we'll catch you guys next time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.